girl Milan here with Diamond Cup Media, and I got my girl Luck with me here today. How are
What's
you?
up? I'm good. I'm from New York.
Yes, we're in the Lower East Side. Yes. So we have Luck here today, up and coming artist, East Coast based, LA based, right?
LA based.
LA based.
From here.
From here. Okay, so tell me a little bit more. Let's get into Sunshine. That is your newest single right now with Manny Wells. So tell us a little bit about Sunshine and how that came about.
Well, Sunshine, honestly, me and Manny met at a show that I did. We were introduced by a friend of ours.
Yeah.
And so I seen him at the show, was familiar with his music already. Extremely oily dude, like everybody knows. And so when we had the opportunity to get in the studio together, I was like, this definitely makes all the sense in the world in terms of just like what I stand for.
Right.
You know, like I felt like just like artistically and just like who we are as human beings, it just made sense for us to do something together. And of course, you know, we did one record, and then we usually the best records for me at least, they come when you like, you know, you bounce around from one song to the next to just like, you know, iron out all the kinks and stuff and get cozy. But as soon as that beat came on, that my producer Jackson Wise made immediately the hook came out, um, um, and and the song essentially is just it's about real love, not like cheap love, like you know,
No cheap love.
yeah,
Hashtag no cheap love.
yeah, that expensive, you know, nourishing, um, rooted, you know, deep love. So it starts from like adolescence, at least in the visual, but and then just like growing old together. At least like that's what I imagine, you know,
Love to be
yeah,
for you.
for me,
of course.
you know, like that's what I've seen in my family, you know, like, and ain't nothing like black love. So I wanted to celebrate
Like
that,
it.
amplify that, and yeah, it feels raw, feels nostalgic, it feels, you know, radical. I think, you know, so yeah, that's the long answer.
Okay, so you know, just a little while ago, you told me professionally you've been doing music for about 6 years. So
Yeah.
if we can go back to like the beginning of your journey, you know, what did that look like? Were you always very sure about the type of artist you are and your whole like very eccentric look, which I absolutely love? Yeah. So take us back to the beginning, if you can. 6 years ago, like what was the starting point?
Oh, 6 years ago. Okay, so 6 years ago, and I moved to LA.
Okay.
And I've been doing music all my life. I was telling her before
Yes.
we turned the cameras on. But I've been doing music all my life, but I don't consider myself, I don't believe that I became a real artist that I could like stand behind until like I went out to the world and I developed like my own perspective.
Yes.
You know, bumped my head a little bit. That's when my pen got lethal. And and I had something to say.
Yes.
You know, because as black people, like we real gifted. All
of us.
We're good at all
We do good things. Okay.
You know?
We're multifaceted.
We're multifaceted, but yeah. So I've been singing since I was young. Singing in church, in school. I'm classically trained in opera.
Okay.
I went to college for that.
I did not know that.
But yeah, again, just I consider the last 6 years of my life is where I honed in and created a sound and a language that was unique to me.
Absolutely.
You know, so yeah.
As far as your discography, at what point is it? This is not our first mixtape. This is about our.
This is that's the first one. That's what was the EP, and then I just dropped like a couple singles afterwards.
Yes.
And that's where we are right now. And the album is coming. It wasn't like the LP, the final thought.
Right.
But yeah, and Clemens, that record that dropped with the EP, and then I put a remix out with Ann, and that was like something like that. December.
Yes.
Can't keep up with time.
Listen,
This year is going so
we're
fast.
almost
right,
at what? We're almost mid-year, to be honest.
I know.
It's June. So we're at the mid-year. So no time to breathe.
Not at all.
Okay, no time to breathe. So, so with your newest EP, and you're on this journey, and you're really coming out and stepping into the world, and introducing yourself. So I know that you mentioned, okay, you're an East Coast girl, but you're LA based, and those are just two sides of the same coin. Two different vibes. So how much did you kind of lose your East Coastness? Are you
Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. No, I consider, so I said the last 6 years is when I I stepped into my own, but that was based off of, my foundation. So when I went to LA, like I considered that was like isolation for me.
Yes.
And which was great. I didn't know that I needed that. But it allowed me to just sit with my thoughts and everything that I've like gained throughout the years in terms of just like my identity.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a lot of noise, like my family members and my friends. There was a lot of people in my ear.
Yes.
Like I was there, and I had time to just be with me.
Yes.
And so that space definitely helped me to just curate the world of luck. But definitely, like I love LA. The vibes are, you wake up, there's palm trees, there's good vibes all the time. But there's no opportunity, but there's no part of my artistry that is necessarily influenced by LA. I just live there.
Okay.
I'm born in Connecticut. I was raised in Virginia. And,
okay.
I moved to LA from New York. So I'm definitely a melting pot of all the things that I'm influenced by.
Of course.
But it's, that was from the East Coast.
Yes. So it's so funny that you mentioned.
I hope that is all.
Oh no, we love LA.
It just is.
Yes.
What it is.
Yeah, it's the truth, and it's a part of your journey. So I love how you mentioned, just as creative, as an artist, we all kind of go through that phase of not really feeling understood, and you do need that isolation. So I can definitely relate to that, because you have so many opinions coming at you, and so much doubt being projected on you, and it can be suffocating. So bravo to you for chasing your dreams for
Thank you. Yeah, and people, I also want to add to that.
Yeah.
Like, people like to think that, when they hear isolation, you think of that as like, that's like,
negative.
Bad. That's negative.
No.
But like, no, if it's for the right reasons, like you'll find home, you'll find solitude, you'll find you within that. So I think like, if you never leave home or whatever, like you just need to figure out what that is, carve that time out for you to like be with you and the gifts God gave you. You can't hear the downloads that God has for you. You can't hear yourself when you're constantly surrounded by just, influences, whether it's good or bad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
a lot of people are gonna definitely be able to relate to you on that too.
Oh yeah.
Yes. So let's go to your kind of like your creative process. Like I know you, like you mentioned before, are you more like, if you're in the studio and a beat comes on, is that beat that kind of sparks the song? Or are you more, hey, I just had this like tune in my head and I just need to go lay it down? Or are you inspired by, artists or anybody thinks anything specifically? Like what is your process like?
My process for creating is usually, it's always usually with like a little mini guitars, like my boy Jackson, he always walks around playing like that guitar, and just little riffs, and that usually will inspire a melody. I'm big on melodies, they gotta be sticky. So like I always start there, but in terms of like even before I enter, a studio creative space, like even just on my day-to-day in terms of what inspires me, I definitely get inspired by other artists. I love Rosalia. I love listening to like Michael Jackson and Stevie Wonder, Frank Ocean, and Lauryn Hill, and rock and roll, Tina Turner, like everybody, all the things. So I'm like, we're all, every artist, like all of these melodies that are playing inside of our head, like, usually we're in, sometimes you catch it, sometimes you don't catch the interpolation, because we're all inspired and we've all been infected in the best way.
So, you're a melting pot of all of these different things. You have your hip hop, your
Mhm.
R&B, and also you said rock and roll. So
Yeah.
that is the kind of mixture that we have with you, right?
Mhm.
So other, artists that I can think of that have that mixture are definitely like, even though it's still rap and hip hop, but crunk
Yeah.
music,
Right.
I feel like it's very similar, like Lil Jon,
Mhm.
like that kind of just, you know,
Good ear.
you know
No,
what I mean?
no, that
For sure,
is.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So, who are some artists? If you can name three artists that kind of have that mixture like you do, that
The mixture.
to give the audience a kind of like a visual or a reference point of the type, what to look for from you.
Okay. Um, I would say
It's that Tina Turner, so that's
that,
one.
yeah, Tina Turner for sure.
Yeah.
But like, just like, well, you're just referring to like the rock side.
Well,
right?
just
Or
like a
all
mixture.
different- Oh, okay.
Yeah, like a mixture. Yeah.
I think Lauryn Hill
Oh, for
was,
sure.
the perfect example of, what that is. Um, Missy Elliott,
Yes, I was gonna say
multifaceted.
Missy Elliott,
Yeah,
yep.
Missy. Because I mean, if it like when you dive into like my music, sometimes I've had so many people ask me like, "Yo, who is that on like the second verse?" I'm like, "That's me."
Yes.
Who are those albums?
That's
Like,
how you
yo,
know
that's
people are
Unc.
listening.
Right,
Yes.
that's Unc. I got like these different characters and
Yes.
stuff, where like just channel. It's like, no, I'm just acting like my
Mhm.
uncle right there. Like,
Yes.
when I go down in that tone, like,
Yes.
or that's auntie,
Mhm.
that's this person, that person. But yeah, okay, yeah, Missy, Lauren. Oh God, Tizo Touchdown.
Oh yeah, I
think
love
he's
Tizo.
He's
Tizo is
actually
excellent.
a great example for like some present day.
Yeah.
I
love Tizo.
Yeah, he's very, 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 very just,
Great writer.
Right, great writer. Just
Yeah.
touches everything and does it all so well.
Shout out to Tizo. Feature.
Tizo.
Yes. Yes. I love Tizo. That was a good one. That was a good one.
Yeah. Also, I mentioned her earlier. I really, really love her, and I'm really excited to do a record with her one day. Rosalia. So fun and
yes.
so. She's also very diverse. I mean, she's for the most part she sings in Spanish, but just in terms of the things that
Transcends,
she's
though.
yeah,
Transcends.
the different things that she's infusing. Like if you listen closely, it's
You don't even care.
right.
You don't.
Like,
There's so many Spanish songs that I love. I just can vibe to.
Yeah.
Yeah, so many of them.
Yeah. So those are a few.
Okay, so we know as an artist, it's very important to be on your business. I feel like I love how nowadays it's very emphasized.
Mhm.
So I feel like as creatives, the business kind of falls to the wayside because we're so focused on the
Yeah.
creative aspect and making the best art that we can. So we have a jewelry line. So how important it is to you to just diversify or channel your artistry in other ways too?
Yeah. No, I'm so glad that you asked that question and the way you positioned it. It's funny because when I made these,
Yeah.
I didn't make it from like that aspect, like the business standpoint, like how can I like start
Yes.
making some money? Like it definitely was like I'm a creative and
Mhm.
I need something fly to wear, but also I made these because when I lived in New York, I would leave my keys, my phone, everything
Girl.
in a cab,
A real New Yorker.
on a train,
Yes.
and then get home at 4 a.m. after being out all night. Like, damn, I can't get in. And my roommate ain't home.
That is the worst.
The absolute worst. So, like, that's the true reason why I made them. This one is called "Don't Lose Your Keys." But
It's a great story.
Yeah,
That's
right?
so real.
Yeah,
so
right.
real.
But seriously though, like I was wearing it, I don't know, for like maybe 3 years, wearing
Mhm.
my pieces, and then people, I was always getting compliments, but I never heard it as like, oh, this can be of service to someone else. Like,
Yes.
I can, like, people want it. I was
Mhm.
just like, thanks, because I wasn't in that mindset.
Yes.
But as I grew, and one day. Something just turned on and I heard it different, and I I released it. I created um, the brand and released it, and yeah, it's been
Doing excellent.
doing this thing.
Awesome. I love that. I love that. So outside of your jewelry, your music, like, what are some other things that you want to kind of check off your list? Like, what else are we, you know, as you, what else are we, moving towards?
Yeah, I I've always say like when I retire. Well, first of all, the plan is to do world touring. I want to be a touring artist.
Okay.
So um, stadiums, you know, all that jazz. That is my goal. Like I live for the stage, but outside of that, obviously I want my brand to do really well. I want my brand to be a household name on its own outside of just my artistry.
Yes.
But I always said that like when I'm like 50 and I like retire, or not retire, but just like want to do something else.
Yeah.
I want to have my own, like create my own furniture.
Oh, I love that. That's on my like, long term goal as well.
Please.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yes. Furniture designing. Yes.
Yeah. Like
I love it.
So intrigued.
Yes.
I've always been really intrigued by it. And so, but this is definitely, it's one of those things like it's expensive to create.
Exactly.
So, you get the funds right.
Mm-hmm. That's very
so I can do it right.
Yes.
But yeah, I would love to do that. I would love to have like my own little winery farm.
Oh, yes.
When I get older.
Yeah.
Like old.
Well, that's generational money,
You're right.
People are always going to need wine.
Yeah.
It's never going to go anywhere. So that's good. You're on the right track. Definitely on the right track. So we're gonna play like a little game. It's called This or That, just to kind of gauge your taste. Yeah. Okay. So I feel like you can always tell somebody by their music taste, right? You can always tell somebody. So, this or that. So, Judy Lauryn Hill or Missy Elliott?
Why she do that?
Let's
Why? Real. It just depends on the day, but I think that like
It speaks to your soul.
on a Lauren Hill.
Okay, we love
But
Lauren.
I love Lucy so much. Like she speaks to my soul too.
Yeah, in a different way.
In a different way.
I love Missy.
But Lauren, just like if we had to really like, take all my bones out and go like
Who do you think
down
will show up
the
to
dirt
a studio session though?
for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I will hope both.
I think Missy definitely gonna.
Right.
Yeah.
Missy probably would
We
actually
love Lauren.
Lauren is trying to get her outside.
Yeah.
But listen, she
Yes.
just went out. Did you see?
Yeah, she
was,
met
like,
Gala.
putting
Yeah, she was
everybody-
outside.
And she was putting all like people that she was on to like
Yes.
one like Manny.
Yeah.
Manny was it like
Oh, she shot him out.
Yeah, I forget what show it was. She brought him on stage.
Okay.
Manny and like Foggy and I think like two other people. Like dead serious. I was like,
Okay.
one more year, I'm gonna get on that stage with y'all too.
Yes.
But like, I love her so much.
Me too. I love.
And I
her.
love that she's coming back outside.
Yes.
And she's
It's
celebrating
hard being an
her-
artist.
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Lauren.
Lauren. Okay. So, who else can I? Nikki or I mean, they're from two different eras, but definitely from the same tree.
Yeah.
So, we're not even gonna do Nikki. Let's do Kim or Foxy. Because they're the same.
Oh, Kim.
Kim? Okay. Yeah, hands down.
I mean, just like not necessarily. I just grew up like my brother. He was always playing,
Yes.
Kim and everybody from that side.
Yeah.
So it's Kim for me.
It's Kim for you?
It's Kim for me. It's Kim.
Okay. So, how about Kanye? Ye? Shout out to Ye. Or Pharrell?
Oh, I mean, I love Ye. I don't stand for what he's doing outside these days.
Yeah.
But like old Ye, it's Ye, 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 Ye,
Yeah.
all day.
Okay.
Right. I love Pharrell. He's from Virginia too. I love
Yes.
him.
Oh, yes. Definitely the Virginia connection. Yes.
Now, if it's down to character, obviously like Pharrell all day. But like we're just talking about music. right?
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's do as far as if you want this or that person to be your boss.
Mm.
Dame Dash or Suge Knight?
Neither one. I ain't got no damn boss.
Could you imagine?
Neither one of y'all.
Could you imagine? Oh my God! Could you imagine?
No.
No.
I couldn't imagine. Dame Dash or Suge Knight. Oh God.
So you have to pick one.
Okay. Um, Dame Dash.
Dame Dash?
Like, yeah,
Okay.
I ain't gonna. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Okay. Okay.
Dame Dash.
All right. So since you are, based on the West Coast, so I love a few West Coast artists. So these artists are more, I would say not super mainstream, but I know who they are.
Mm-hmm.
So Blast or Mozzie, this or that, Blast or Mozzie. Blast. I love Blast. Y'all saw you said Blast. I like Mozzie too.
I like Mozzie, but
Yeah.
you said this or that.
Yeah.
This, I feel like this game is like not good though. Like, if I go in, you get in trouble for your taste. You know?
I mean, you could, but we don't
like
listen.
listen. You could.
Yes, and luckily, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so last one. Let's go back to the East Coast.
Okay.
Right. So this or that. Dipset or the Locks?
Ooh. I have more fun with Dipset. Ooh. But I also I grew up listening to a lot of the Locks. Ooh. This is so hard.
Yes.
That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Dipset on a fun summery day, but like the locks. It's just
Locks,
real. Like
yeah,
I need raw, real,
real ninjas.
yeah,
Yeah.
the locks.
Yes,
The
the Locks. Okay. Okay. That is a wrap for my girl Luck here. Make sure you follow her, get in tune with her, and we are out.